nearly 2-year investigation. Exactly how was that taillight shattered?
Good question.
Explain it to us.
Good question.
The taillight, what do you mean? So the taillight in this case was shattered when it was struck John O'Keefe's arm.
Exactly what part of his arm?
Based on what I saw for his injuries, was from the upper part of his arm down.
Was his arm?
That seems odd, right? I mean, if it struck his arm, it produced enough damage to knock him out cold and immobilize him. If it struck his arm, does that strike anyone else as problematic? Also, it then caused him to fly 30 feet by striking his arm. Does that strike anyone else as kind of not workable? Like fundamentally not workable, as opposed to like it hitting your center of mass, your chest, which is kind of rigid, right? And, it being a direct sort of blow to your chest and maybe, hitting your heart. So maybe it hits your heart and somehow causes a heart attack, or hits your lungs and somehow causes them to collapse. I don't know. Something like that. Or even if not that like it transfers all the force to your center of mass, as opposed to it hitting your arm. Does it strike anyone else that the vehicle going 25 miles an hour, if it struck his arm, that would lead to a fatal injury? Does that strike anyone else as a bit unlikely? Is it just me? Am I the only one?
No injuries on the shoulder. No injuries on the torso.
Yep.
No injuries on the ribs.
Yep.
No injuries on the back.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yes.
So your theory is you got hit on the arm, took the brunt of the force from the taillight on the arm, stayed with the vehicle long enough for the taillight to explode, basically, to shatter. Then these striations get on his arm, abrasions. Does a pirouette, spin, counterclockwise, and flies 30 feet in the air to his point of rest.
Yeah, that about summarizes it.
Yeah, it happened probably a little faster than that, though.
Yeah, okay. So the defense attorney confirms that, in fact, that is the story that he's trying to sell us. So, yes, that is the theory that he's trying to sell us. A glancing blow hit his arm and caused him to spin and fly through the air 30 feet, even though his arm is on a hinge and would presumably move because, it's not a static object as opposed to like the chest or something, which has much less give. And that's the theory he wants to sell us. I'm having problems with basically literally every single step of that theory. Basically every single step, every single one is bullshit.
I thought you said he hit his head on the curb.
I said that's one of the possibilities of when you look at the roadway as he gets spun around kind of clockwise. It's a possibility that the curb is there, any blunt force object on the ground, as the ground is pretty blunt.
So, a couple questions. If his arm, elbow, took the brunt of that entire impact, how do you account for the fact that he didn't suffer a broken bone?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't know.
How do you account for the fact that he didn't have a fracture?
So that's also a good question.
Sustained.
How do you account for the fact that he didn't even have a bruise on the arm?
Objection.
That's sustained.
These are all pretty good questions, guys. These are all pretty good questions. All right, let's re-summarize. All right, the car is going 25 miles an hour. 24 and a half, I think they said. The car is going 25 miles an hour, reverse. It hits John O'Keefe in a side swipe, non-direct. The impact is on his arm. The impact causes him to maybe hit the curb, causes him to spin, and then causes him to project 30 feet with no indication in the snow that there was any disturbance to the snow, which would indicate that all 30 feet are in the air because there's no disturbance to the snow. And also this massive blow, which caused him to go 30 feet to his arm, did not break his arm, nor did it leave any bruising. Okay. I'm not a medical professional. I am not a medical professional, but you know, I have a feeling that this does not add up medically. I have a feeling that this does not make medical sense, or sense under physics, or basically any of the scientific disciplines, to be quite honest. So I don't know whether or not we want to call Harry Potter as an expert or something, because the Canton police apparently believe in magic. But you know, I'm having trouble with this under the rules of the natural world. I mean, Harry Potter could explain apparition. He's a master of that. He knows how to apparate things. So he could tell us how maybe that's what happened. Much like the chief of police apparated in the Sallyport. Maybe John O'Keefe also apparated. That explains it. All right, guys, I figured it out. He went through a wormhole. Okay. He went through a portal. All right. There was a sudden accumulation of dark matter and dark energy, all localized in just this one instance in this place. Okay. And the dark matter, dark energy that all sort of clumped together all at once created a spike in gravitation, which caused him to be attracted at the exact same instance the car hit him. Okay. There was just a spike in gravity that direction, because suddenly dark matter black hole wormhole portal formed, and he fell through that / was attracted by that / whatever. That's what happened. It was the dark matter portal, man. That was the dark matter portal that he flew through. That explains a lot, man. I've cracked the case. We're all set. Dark matter. The dark matter's turning the frogs gay.